Picture this idea. You are selling and you're going after mid-level or enterprise level organization. The challenge that you're facing though is that most of your competitors are doing the same thing. You're not getting the responses that you want. What should you do? The answer is simple, but I think you're overthinking it. It's AI. No. I'm not talking about your bland outreach emails. Utilizing AI to take care of some of your busy work so you can have more relevant conversation with the right people. We're going to give you a glimpse, a taste of what good looks like. Check it out. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist Podcast. I'm your host, Donald C. Kelly, the Sales Evangelist. And I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited to be here with you today. On this episode, I have Doug Foley, and you can connect with Doug. You can find more information about him in the show notes. But Foley Media, he runs an organization. He works with a lot of clients, just like you and myself in this space, and helps us when it comes towards go-to-market strategy. And one of the things that we spoke about was how in the world of AI how can we utilize AI to help us to sell to mid-level and enterprise level deals more effectively. And Doug has some ideas that he outlined, and we're going to tackle that in this episode. But before we dive in, if this is your first time listening to the podcast, I encourage you, I will plead with you to go and subscribe, because I promise you, we're going to notify you every time we drop a new piece of content. And like this one is straight fire. So connect with us, subscribe, and wherever you listen to podcasts, check it out as well. And P.S., if you're looking to practice your sales skills and you want to get into a sales mastermind with other sellers that are doing phenomenally, check out the Sales Evangelist Mastermind. Go to thesalesevangelist.com/mastermind. Again, thesalesevangelist.com/mastermind. One more time for the folks in the back. Thesalesevangelist.com/mastermind. We practice, we improve, we tweak your skills so that you can be able to get to the highest level of your sales performance. Small groups, 12 sellers max, environment that you could thrive in. Now, as we dive into the episode today, you're going to hear how we go straight into this thing hot. We want to talk about why Doug is so passionate about AI and specifically working with enterprise and mid-level sellers. But not only that, what are some things that we can do to make sure that we're performing at a higher level? Listen for what he said about teams being trained, and specifically around how we can think holistically on this. Welcome to the show, Doug.
Thanks so much for having me. Excited to chat.
I'm really looking forward to this conversation. As we were talking earlier, the idea of helping enterprise sellers is one near and dear to my heart, being an individual that's been in that world and also working with clients. So I'm coming to you today as a student to steal as much information as I can. I bragged about you a little bit in the teaser there and about what you're doing, but talk to me about why you're so passionate around how we can help sellers, specifically AI, using AI, but at the enterprise level.
Absolutely. I've spent most of my career in different roles, whether it was leading sales team, leading marketing teams, or an agency's perspective, helping clients with go-to-market. And the biggest gap that I consistently saw was the lack of sales enablement. And with AI, there's now an opportunity to give them sets of tools that they didn't have. But I think the biggest mistake most people make is they look at it from strictly efficiency. It's like, oh, how could I send an email easier? Or how could I write this outreach easier? But they don't look at it more holistically as how can I build a bigger, better relationship and use AI and the other systems our organizations have to make building relationships more effective. And that's probably the single strongest point that they're not currently using it. At least most aren't yet.
And I agree with you on that one. And I would come to say let me eliminate one of the guessing part, but I'm going to share a point, and then you can help me understand if that's true or not. I think because when we think of AI or the introduction to it, it's really like chat, like some of those basic things, like do some research for me or things of that nature. And we see it as inhuman, but still yet from what you're sharing, it can help us to be more human. And I feel like it's easier on the first part where, yeah, I can have it do the research or I can have it write an email for me. And that tunnel vision is where we are built in on it. And I feel that's why we've gone into this camp where we don't even think of what you're sharing. Like, I think it's like another right brain thinking what you're getting at here.
100%. Yeah, you think about it in such a limited capacity to what you're saying. It's like, oh, write my email. And then you read the email and it's like, that doesn't really sound like me at all. And I'll tell you, if you learn to train the tool, like it's called a large learning model for a reason. Like you need to teach it how you speak, how you interact, and how you go to market. So if you took it down to just, I'm going to answer this in two parts. Number one, how to use it properly, but two, how to think about it more holistically. The first part, like to use it properly, just using standard chat with zero training, garbage in, garbage out.
Yep.
And that's what most people do. And I think a lot of that has to do with education. But companies that commit the time to either A, training their team and B, training the tool, they're going to actually correct a lot of the issues people see, the hallucinations, the poor responses. But that requires people to take a step back and say, hey, do I really actually understand my customer journey? Do I actually understand the real pain points of what problems am I actually solving? How do I, as a really strong seasoned salesperson, come in and actually help add value and solve problems? And that's one of the biggest limiting factors is they're not actually thinking more holistically, which goes to point number two. All of the AI tools require frameworks. They need system based thinking. I'm at point one. I need to go to point two, three, four, and follow a linear path. And when you break that, that's when it really falls apart. But very few companies actually put the time in to enable their salespeople to say, hey, here's the critical junctures you have in your sales structure. And here's how we start to integrate AI to help at each different stage. Whether that's as simple as, an outreach campaign or an email, a follow-up, an invitation to a dinner. One of the easiest things they could do if they want to start is use it for a trade show or an event.
Interesting.
If you're using it for a trade show and event, it's probably the easiest way to like ease into it because we know there's pre-show campaigns. What are the things we should be doing as salespeople before we get to a major event or major trade show? Most companies don't do that. I'd argue to say less than 80% even do pre-show nurturing. But then what do I want to do or what do I want to accomplish at the event? Is it getting these people to a dinner, an experience, you name it? Then how do I do the invitations? And then the biggest one is post-show marketing. The number of abandoned leads I see post-show is staggering. But even if they just used an event, and I'm sure most of the companies listening probably have some type of trade show or event they do, that would ingrain them or start to teach like, hey, you know what, there's more I could be doing before, at the event, and post event, and then start to look at where can AI help me with this particular goal or objective. And that's the biggest transformation. We start to see people like, oh, I'm starting to get it. It's not just writing emails. It's not just creative or copy. It's this whole systematic thinking of how do I have this as a partner to help solve problems.
So let's go back into that, and I think that ties back into the first part there. Is that then when you say training the team, is that what you're alluding to, training them of what it can do, or training them how to use prompts properly, or is it a combination of both?
I think it's actually three things. Number one, how as a company do we go to market? What's our actual positioning? And a lot of times we're able to solve problems by just helping them understand these are the core problems that we solve. And then here's how we go to market with that. Like here's the sequences, here's the the lead timing we have, here's key milestones in building a customer relationship, whether that's, hey, if it's from a cold prospect, here's typically how long it takes, the number of steps. If it's warm, here's what we do. And then the last piece is the training. Here's what we have available today. Here's the AI tool. Here's how to use this AI tool to accelerate this process. Because at the end of the day, all we're really trying to do is shorten the sales cycle and sell more. And it really only happens one of two ways. We either sell more to people we're doing business with, or we figure out how to solve more immediate problems. That's it.
I'm a sales manager and I'm listening to this. And besides the fact maybe I can hire you to do it, but I'm trying to figure out I want to start doing something to train these reps. Is there the fundamental thing that I can start doing to teach my reps on what to do? Because the other part to this, I also find that the sales leaders that are listening, they have so many other things on their plate to think like, now I need to add. I was just trying to teach them how to freaking do LinkedIn right. Now you're telling me I need to teach them how to do AI right. How, like, where can I start? Or is this a sales enablement problem?
Biggest and easiest way to get somebody started is an AI first thinking and looking at it from the perspective. And this is more of like team calls if they have daily or weekly stand ups. Within a month, you probably will find about 5 to 10 hours of productivity gains just
Yeah.
by explaining how to identify roadblocks and figuring out how do I leverage AI to remove some of those. So, for example, one of the biggest limitations people have is more of corporate licensing. It's
Yeah.
just really expensive. So, more companies are willing to adapt Copilot if you're Microsoft and Gemini if you're Google. So, number one, if you're a sales leader, understand what tools do you have access to today? And then what are some of the roadblocks you can eliminate from some of your teams so that the usage becomes habitual? Like, how do they start to incorporate? The best is just get them using it first, if that's your roadblock. And if you can get them using it, that's where some of the ideation starts to come in place, and you can start to identify, okay, how do I start to pull it in? But it does have to start top down. And chances are, within each sales organization, you're going to have somebody that's championing it. Somebody's already using something, whether they're compliant or not, that's a different story, but they're going to be using it like encouraging, like, hey, this is a
Yeah.
win they had, celebrate those, but incorporate it into AI first mentality and it'll permeate the culture because somebody's going to start winning.
Yeah. I like that idea of the team meetings because, yeah, like you said, there's somebody looking at how can I work smarter, not harder, and they're going to town with this already. The I want to go into the think holistically a little bit further, and then I want to kind of marry this all to what can I do to be better as I am going for as I'm going for enterprise level accounts. Maybe we can go to some examples of what we can do with that, if that's cool.
Sure.
So thinking holistically, you kind of alluded to this, started going in and talking about the roadblock, but how can I get that holistic thinking down?
Best thing to do is start with core relationships and reverse engineer success.
Okay.
So if you have a great customer and you think, okay, I know how I won them, I know what the experience is, start with anywhere you have some type of deliverability. Let's say, my job, you have to work with key clients, use some of the tools for meetings. And whether they're co-pilots, whether it's Otter or Zoom, use the AI tools to make sure that the meeting experience and you follow up with clients, give a better white glove experience. Say, hey, here's our meeting recap. Here's what we discussed. Here's what we're accomplishing. Here's where we're headed. Here's our next steps. That right there is probably one of the greatest gifts salespeople can give for the customer experience. So start there. Almost everybody has that.
Why do you feel that that's the greatest experience? Just to start off with that one.
Yeah. So if you look at any successful SaaS company,
Mm-hmm.
their success is based on their onboarding.
Yeah.
You only have a 3-day window to get somebody onboarding and using the tool in order to have them using it for a long time. Okay. Same thing is true if you're a consulting agency or something. Like, you have a short window to get somebody a win before you're going to get referrals.
Yeah.
And I think every salesperson can agree referrals are the lifeblood of any sales pipeline.
Yeah.
But that comes from how you deliver against that initial promise. So, quick win, if I use AI, we have these meeting tools and I can move the needle and show progress regardless of industry. That's a better customer experience.
Yeah.
And they'll fall in love with the salesperson. It's like, hey, this person's incredibly detailed. They're moving the ball. They're responsive. Really easy win. All the tools pretty much exist. It doesn't matter what meeting tool you use, whether it's, Gemini does it for Google Meets, Zoom has it inherently, Copilot does it for Teams.
Yeah.
All the tools are there.
What I like about it, from my perspective, I've always been a fan of the post meeting notes, those recaps, and it was a work that a seller had to do at one point, like I did, but I try to make a basic template. But now, like you're saying, it just makes a big difference with the software. But what it does for me is, just like we were talking about, and I'm gonna reveal my naivete. I do prep calls with our prospects, and with our prospects, but also with our guests. And so my good friend here, not Darren, Doug, and I had a call. obviously recorded for today. I came into the meeting with the notes that I had for Darren, not for my stuff for Doug. And Doug is really awesome and was nice and laughed it off with me. But the point, though, is we have so many meetings back to back that oftentimes we can get wires crossed. And I think about it from a buyer standpoint. When my buyer's coming into them, how many Teams meetings did they have this morning already, or Zoom meeting? Now I'm meeting with them. How are they going to remember this stuff in 2 weeks? And it builds such a great, and you can probably get into the idea of doing agents at this point, but it becomes such a great, effective tool where they can get that recap. But then also prior to that meeting, maybe the day before, I can have an agent send out, hey, Doug, look forward to our recording. Here are some of our notes that we pointed out. But that gets you prepped for tomorrow already. But it looks like I am that on the ball, but it's just a little details. And I feel like when you're going, I'm a big track fan. And I feel, let's say big in a sense of I'm Jamaican, so it's in our blood, right? But one of the things though is like that millisecond of, you might win a race. And I think in enterprise level deals, right now, it's not necessarily the cost people may be looking at, but it's those little millisecond things that make a big difference. And that could be one of those things. And so double tapping on that is just like, you got me at hello on it. I
Pipeline velocity. Like if you have a large sales organization, pipeline velocity is this one of the single biggest metrics people are going to look at next to receivables. Are they paying their bills? Yep. I'm with you.
So you gave me some ideas holistically, guys. I can't give you all the stuff, and neither can Doug give you everything here. But we're gonna make sure you get in touch with him after the episode, so he can give you a little bit more if you want to get that. Doug, I want to go into this idea now of thinking about from an enterprise level thought process. I am a sales rep. I'm listening to this call, and I'm going after those mid-market enterprise level deals. You just gave me a good example here with AI, and also how I can think holistically. But what else can I do to make sure I embrace artificial intelligence to help me sell better and accelerate more deals through the pipe? And what things maybe I need to do as a human standpoint? How can it help me be more human, essentially?
As a sales rep, number one, focus on relationships. That's paramount. It's fundamental skill regardless. Number two, you need to understand your customer journey in order to use AI effectively. If you don't understand where you fit in the journey, it becomes very hard to sequence and prepare the messaging to get the breakthrough, especially if you're dealing with cold prospects. Once you understand your positioning, you're ready. Okay, I know what I do, I know what I sell, I'm great at it. The research tools for enterprise sales are incredibly underutilized. We had a client last week who came to us and said, hey, here's our top 9 clients. We need to understand who their board members are. We need to understand who the key decision makers are, the stakeholders, and who else might be involved in the decision. In less than 6 hours, we delivered all of that using a variety of tools. But you could do that with just Grok, with just Chat GPT. But you need to slow down and be like, who do I really need to contact in that company? The interesting thing, and I have a very different perspective, I think prompting is dead. You could spend time trying to learn prompting, but most salespeople are really gifted at asking questions. And if they adopt that same mentality with chat and simply use the voice button, like you can either talk to it through the little wave chat or use the microphone and use text to speech. If you ask it really good questions, your results will more often than not be better than a perfect prompt.
Yeah.
Because it's a language model. You're building a relationship with it. And the more you talk to it with the type of answers you want to receive, the higher quality the answers will come over time. People always laugh. They're like, man, your chat, like your chat gets the best answers ever. Yeah, it's got 3 years of training. It should. Yeah. But it's because I focus less on prompts and more on really effective questions.
I found it, for me, it's very easier with that voice message, the voice capability as well. So I literally, I feel I can do better conversations, like you're saying, and I can express myself in different ways. And it just helps me. You're right. I do see that as a better outcome from it. And like you said, it's learning. I feel like the latest update with chat, or I forgot what number it was, but where it allows for us to keep those projects built out and just kind of help build in a relationship. Like we do some content for one of our production company, and the brand guide, for instance, it was just something small, but it remembered that and started using, and it started pulling back information. And the more you educated it, we saw that it just performed more effective for us. So I love this idea, and I think the notion of me waiting for management to do that versus me taking it on at this level as a seller, I think that's, something I can do right now, and don't necessarily need to wait for mom and dad to say, use this in this way. You know what I mean?
Well, it's interesting. Like if you have a sales rep who has a LinkedIn, any of the premium versions of LinkedIn, like Sales Navigator as an example,
Yeah.
and they have the paid version of chat, go into chat. Like you can literally take the PDF, because you can't scrape LinkedIn. Number one, it's not compliant, but number two, it just has problems. Just print like P to PDF that person's profile,
Yeah.
drop it in chat, and just ask questions like, hey, what are the typical problems this person? Like, give me the full psychographic rundown of how our company, insert URL, could help this person. Like the other piece we did recently, and this was for that same client, we need to know all the board members.
Yeah.
It wasn't about prompting, it was thinking outside the box. I said, I need your help identifying all the key stakeholders on the board. Go review all the recent tax filings and help me validate that they're current. And
Wow.
it went through all the K1, or not K1s, the tax filings from the company, the proxy filings. It pulled all the people out, went to their LinkedIn, built an entire table for us. Like it's just, you just have to think and slow down.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, where do I find this information? How would I do it manually? And then just ask it to do it on your behalf, and it'll go through. And this is not using agents, nothing crazy, just a really clear instruction on what we're trying to accomplish.
See, and what I feel about this is, going back to what you're saying on the enterprise level deal again, is I think we need to slow down to go faster. And I know it gets controversial sometimes and people push back on me and but I'm not saying we don't. I'm a prospector. I love selling, and you're going to keep doing that. And I found recently, if I do, and it's an old adage, but it's just still the same. If I'm going for enterprise level accounts, and mid-level business deals, if I go for, like, say 10 to 15 accounts, or in this case, like you're the client, they gave you, a set parameter, 9 companies. There's a lot of business, a lot of work in that. And I found getting that type of information allowed me to be way more relevant to my pitch. And that's also a belief that I have. I recently just shared one that I don't believe in length of emails anymore. I think the emails can be long, and it's not like a right, wrong. It's only if the email is relevant.
Yep.
And I tested this. That's why I'm so passionate about it. But it comes back to, I made that email not like, hey, I saw you went to, University of Florida, but it was an email around relevant things applicable to Doug at this point, and what challenges that you are facing, and compared to your business and all this stuff. But the point is, I got all this information, and it was very easy for my conversation to be way more relevant. And the deals went further. And I have a couple opportunities that literally came from that. Just, I can point directly to that in the pipeline right now.
You're 100% correct. And like your point about shortened emails, the shorter the better. And I will tell you, that is one of the hardest skills, is to write a short, condensed email. But we're running a campaign right now for a dinner event for a client. We always run a Jason test to what they do. They have like that wrong, hey, here's who we are, here's what we should have. We have one, it's like, hey, if you like steak and technology, meet us here at this date. Let me know if you're interested. And it's
No way.
like,
No way.
it is that direct. Yeah. Cold email. We have no relationship with them. And I think we've had 7 people book. The goal is 40. So I think, a third of the responses are from a cold email campaign. But because of AI, we could target the right titles.
Yeah.
The right people in the right geography, and we can do multivariate testing. But like, it's granted, I do have one of the best email marketers on my team, period. But it's simple stuff. Like we overcomplicate a lot in sales. And I would say, don't let like the abundance that chat can create or AI can create to overwhelm you. Get back to fundamentals and use it to do better. And to your point, like this, doing outreach and campaign planning, I feel like is a lost art.
Yeah.
I don't think people slow down and actually develop a true account plan. But now with AI, like you can make really rich data-backed really impactful campaigns and go one-to-one with people.
Yeah.
And that's where people are winning right now.
There's a company that we had them on a show, and what they like, go back to the top of the episode as we wrap this up, is what you shared, like quality in will lead to quality out, right? And going back to those fundamentals, it is more about that refined list. Like, what are the people who are right now, so this company, they have the capabilities to be able to, it's a listening tool, right? And coupled with AI, they're able to give on a day-to-day basis, like not outdated signals like 30 days ago, but right now. These are some of the things that these are some of the companies that are behaving like they need what you have to offer. Doing an outreach to those people, you're highly relevant, you have stuff that you're focusing on, that makes you sound like a sidekick to that prospect, as opposed to the sea of sameness with a large campaign blast with 200, 300, 400, and you're guessing at that point. But I think the more we can find the right people at the right moment, coupled with what you're saying, effective messaging, AI can help us do all of that, and life could be a lot happier for us enterprise level mid-market sellers. So I love it. If there's one takeaway you want people to leave with, Doug, what's that one major piece of advice?
I think the biggest advantage for sales reps, we've all had really good dinners or really good dining experiences. And if you've been fortunate enough, you had a small EA walk up the table and say like, hey, here's the choice. It pairs well with your meal. You should seek to be that level of expertise and think about how AI can help create that level of specific experience for the people that you help. If you can create a memorable experience and help them solve a specific problem, you will shorten the lead cycle, you will sell more to them, and you'll have more referral sources you can. Just think of how AI is your companion to make more of that happen.
Absolutely love it. Doug, if folks are listening to this episode, want to get in touch with you, what is the best way for them to go about doing so?
Easiest way, go to Foley Media AI. That's FOLEY media.ai, or you can find me on any social channel at Douglas J. Foley.
Doug, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show today, man. Truly appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.
That was Mr. Doug Foley. If you haven't connected with him yet, go ahead and find him in the show notes. Tell Doug you heard him here on The Sales Evangelist. And I would be really excited to hear how you start applying this stuff. What I liked, I think, for instance, the idea that prompt is dead was one that I wasn't expecting. However, I see it and I understand it and believe it. Like the evolution, if you're still just doing basic prompts, it's going to be challenging for you. But this idea of using the voice and utilizing you speaking with it, those are some areas that are really good. I also love the fact that you mentioned about the little tweaks that we can do and how enterprise level sellers can become more relevant to their prospects, and taking AI to work with us, be our assistant. And I think this is one of the things that I looked at a number of years ago, and I was thinking, how can I be better? And I always thought there's going to be more assistance needed. And I think AI is that assistant. It was like a couple of years ago, maybe 3 years ago, I talked about where I saw sales going and felt that with all the work that we have to do in enterprise level deals, someone needed to be that we need to get more assistant to help us out. Well, we did get it, but in the form of artificial intelligence. And it's absolutely amazing. Check out some of the cool things Doug's doing and his team. You can find their link down in the show notes. And if you haven't done so already, check out our mastermind. We begin mid-September, and I would love to have you join us. It's a fun group. It's exciting, and we're challenging people. We want to put it like this. We want you to hit that President's Club. We want you to hit that seven-figure seven-figure level. Income level. And the mastermind is a great way for you to be able to practice with other sellers and to be able to overcome some of those things that would hold you back and learn from some of the top sellers in your industry or in the space. Find out more information, go to theSalesEvangelist.com/mastermind. As always, I want you to thrive. I want you to succeed. But most importantly, I want you to raise the level of thinking. Go out and do big things. See you on the next one.